I want to talk a little bit about the foreign actors who are involved in this conflict and to kind of maybe help people understand why so many foreign interests are interested in Sudan. Can we establish just the geopolitical significance of Sudan? Because we know that Sudan borders the Red Sea, which sits between Africa and the Arabian Peninsula and connects Europe to the Indian Ocean via the Suez Canal. We know that, 15% of world trade, including oil and natural gas exports, along with 30% of global container shipping, passes through that canal. Talk a little bit about the geopolitics, the geographical significance of Sudan, and why so many foreign actors are interested in what's happening there.
That's an excellent question. And, this is not the first time that Sudan has been seen as the answer, perhaps, to external kind of economic crises. So we've had, of course, Ottoman Empire, and then the British Empire has for centuries been extracting Sudanese resources. I think what we're seeing today is in some ways a continuation of that, right? It layers itself on top of those colonial forms of extraction. And now we're mostly seeing the Gulf as the kind of harmful external actors, specifically the UAE, as we've mentioned. The UAE and Saudi Arabia, before this war began, over the last 20 years, have invested $27 billion combined in Sudanese land, agriculture, ports. But to me, it's about more than that. It's about regional power. It's about controlling the Red Sea, right, as a strategic point, as you said, for a variety of reasons, military, political, economic. The Emirates, right before the war, signed a deal, a $6 billion port deal with Sudanese military and business elites in order to develop a private airport and a private toll road that would connect that port project to Emirati agribusiness projects inland and allow them to kind of export things quite quickly. Part of the significance of that port project was that it would undermine the national port, where there's a very vibrant history of port worker organizing against the privatization and selling off of that port. And so they learned from that experience and said, okay, we're going to just put it 200 kilometers north where there probably won't be much resistance. And we're seeing the Emirates expand its power through ports across the Horn of Africa. And to me, it's about not only controlling what comes in and out of the region, but also undermining domestic production, right? And being able to kind of extract our resources. And so what does that do? That means that people in rural areas are losing their livelihoods, and then they get pushed into the security state. The army and the RSF are now Sudan's biggest job recruiters, right, if you will. And so we're seeing the kind of inflated security state, and that is going to continue to destabilize Sudan for the long run, right?
We know that actors like Russia and China and the United States all have interests too.
Yes, and I think that's very important to emphasize. I feel like sometimes we, including myself, I tend to overemphasize the role of the UAE, even though it is probably the biggest and most harmful actor. But on the army side, you have countries like Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Iran, even the Ukraine supporting the army, because on the RSF side, the UAE and Russia's Africa Corps have also been extracting gold in exchange for weapons to fuel their own war against Ukraine. And so you have kind of all of these external actors being drawn into this war. I would still not describe it as a proxy war, though, because this is a war that is driven by domestic military elites who are trying to, protect their own political and financial interests. It's a counter-revolutionary war that is internationalized, right? They're doing this in partnership with elites in the Emirates, in Egypt, in Russia, who are benefiting tremendously from these expanding profit margins. And the people who are suffering the most are Sudanese civilians, right? In this kind of the largest humanitarian and hunger crisis in the world, in a country, as you mentioned, that could easily feed itself and the entire region and was once touted the breadbasket of the Middle East.
You've been listening to a clip of In Bed with the Elephant with me, your host, Adrian Harewood. Be sure to check out the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. And please be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast and write a review. We love hearing from you.